Speaking as someone recently diagnosed with clinical depression and actively seeking resolutions for the issues in my life, Deftones' latest record, Ohms, spoke to me on a level so personal I felt I had to retool an old YouTube channel in order to talk about it. I'm Rustin Charmaine, and this is Exploring the Concept. Of the album's core themes, vocalist and songwriter Chino Moreno said, "Some of the themes that reappear in the record are just about being able to recognise the choices that you made in life and figure out how to change certain things you might not like about yourself." At the time of writing this script, I had my first one-on-one counselling session yesterday morning. With the additional clarity that I've gained, even from just this one conversation, I can see in myself the desire to achieve what this album preaches. Now, not every single track on the record addresses these ideas, so this won't be a track-by-track breakdown of the album, rather a discussion of it within the parameters set within that quote. What I will discuss in this video are my interpretations of these songs and what I've gleaned from them, not necessarily what the artists themselves stated or intended. So, with that said, join me in digging into this album and peering into the wisdom within. Genesis begins the album with a very typically Deftones extended ambient introduction before exploding into a frantic first verse. A cry, not quite of victory, but of a confidence in impending success. I have achieved balance, and I will be reborn, a better person than I was before. I see this chorus lyric as a response, or perhaps an extension, to how the first verse begins. Now these sides may be from people separate to the track's protagonist. However, for me, when I listened to it, this spoke of rejecting the negative thoughts of oneself. Not only rejecting the voice that sows doubt, but also the one that preaches hope. The ether is a place beyond the noise created by those conflicting anxieties, a free space to think and repair. Before being forced to confront my depression, I had tricked myself into thinking that I was content living the same fruitless life every day. Waking up, doing nothing of import, sleeping. Confronting this illusion is the first step on a path to improvement. Not to say that any life with regular rhythm is a charade, there is beauty in repetition when said pattern leads to happiness. However, when it leads to isolation and sadness, it has to go. I'm ending this cycle of my life where I pretend that I'm enjoying the hole that I've dug for myself, and I'm endeavouring to rejoin the fun I had prior, rekindling old friendships, rediscovering former hobbies. Hi YouTube. Leaning on others in times of hardship can create a symbiotic relationship that isn't helpful for either party, nor is it conducive of happiness. It may feel like warmth, but it's poison. Whether this speaks of religion or the love of another human, the implications are the same. You are under a spell, hoodwinked into thinking that this love is the only means by which you can achieve a solution to the issues that exist within you. Throughout periods of depression, there will be people who fail to understand what is happening and attempt to push you when that's the last thing you need. Sometimes that person might be yourself, other times it might be a boss or a friend or a partner. If, even after explanation, said people don't want to understand or cooperate with you, they need to go. In an era where most of us have faced extended periods of lockdown, I feel that more people will unfortunately know where I'm coming from with this one. When you're stuck with your own thoughts, with no actions to take them away, time slides past an accelerated rate. Not in real time it's incredibly slow, but in hindsight, months can pass for days, just as well as minutes can pass for hours. In times like these, an escape can feel simultaneously imminent and miles away. An incredibly helpful part of the last few weeks and months for me has been having a solid set of friends who all, both fortunately and unfortunately, suffer in similar ways to me. I've found that it is far easier to see solutions to each other's issues than it is to find our own, and so we find courage in one another, aiding in our times of need. We sit in a precarious position, but we are capable of almost endless emotion, both positive and negative. How we react to this is down to ourselves. I choose to see the positives. With Ohms being the lead single for the record, Chino has actually spoken of its meaning. As the last song on the record, it's kind of sung in retrospect. It's looking back not just at the batch of songs that came before it, but our lives and our surroundings. The verses are reflecting, but the chorus kind of said, yes, this, but this. It's saying that time will change with the decisions we make. It's a question and an answer. Later in the same interview, Chino stated, "The very first line of the song is, 'We're surrounded by debris of the past.' That's not directly about one thing, it could be about an experience or relationship, but honestly, in my mind, I was thinking about the environment, the world and the earth. The chorus is saying that we're going to remain here together and nothing's going to change that." Whilst that is definitely one possible scope through which this album could be viewed, if anyone fancies a shot at that video, I very much approached this record in terms of how I interpreted it in the state of mind I was in when I first heard it. These lyrics speak to me of acknowledging past, present, and indeed future trauma, but bullishly declaring to desire to press on and continue to live and find brightness among the dark. This album, for me, is a masterpiece. Not only because it came to us in a time where I personally needed it and used it as a means to figure out things about myself, but also as a work of art. If you haven't listened to this record from front to back yet, I would strongly encourage you to do so. As Deftones records go, and there's some stiff competition in that field, I would rank this among the very best, perhaps only below White Pony. Although that record has 20 years of nostalgia on its side, so perhaps in 20 more, I'll place this one at the very top. Thank you for listening to me ramble on about an album I love and my personal interpretation of it. Let me know in the comments what you thought of my reasonings, and feel free to argue with me if you disagree. Art is subjective, but I'll still argue that I'm right because I'm stubborn to a fault. I've been Royston Charmaine. Until next time, peace and love.